We're going to end the first week of the term by talking about acute and chronic responses to exercise. In order to do this, we need to understand a couple definitions, which should allow us to come up with specific examples of acute and chronic exercise. We'll start by talking about stress and adaptation. So stress is something that takes us out of homeostasis. Exercise is a stressor because we leave homeostasis when we exercise. However, it's interesting to note we can get back into homeostasis during exercise. And adaptation is something that occurs in response to repeated stress. These adaptations allow us to handle stress earlier. For example, increasing muscle mass after several weeks of lifting would be an example of an adaptation. Now, when it comes to exercise, we can think of it as acute or chronic. An acute exercise is a temporary single event. Running 5 miles or even 100 miles would be an acute exercise. Your body has to make changes during that exercise bout. However, those changes go away when exercise ends. Chronic exercise is something that happens repeatedly over time. In this case, running 5 miles a day, 5 times a week for 5 weeks would be an example of chronic exercise. Your body will handle running 5 miles differently than if it were to run 5 miles a day, 5 times a week for 5 weeks. To be clear, acute exercise is a single bout of exercise. Changes occur during the bout, but they go away once you finish exercising. These changes are controlled via negative feedback loops. For example, during exercise, heart rate is increased to help with oxygen delivery, but it returns to normal after you finish exercising. Chronic exercise, on the other hand, consists of multiple bouts of exercise over time. This causes your body to adapt so that you can handle the stress. Stopping a bout of exercise doesn't cause the adaptations to go away. Instead, these adaptations go away after you stop training. An example of this would be resting heart rate decreasing after doing or experiencing chronic aerobic exercise. So as we go through this class, we will be focusing on acute and chronic effects of exercise and how the different systems in the body adjust, handle, adapt to these different types of exercise. So to help review, see if you can answer these 4 questions. Can you define stress and adaptation? Can you provide an example of acute stress? Describe how your body handles this. Can you provide an example of chronic stress? And describe an adaptation that your body will use to handle this type of stress.